Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me and this amazing webinar. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you guys so much. My name is Mimi Chan. My pronouns are she, her, and I would to just again, thank you for being here. I know there's a lot of webinars and panels and so many different events that you could be at right now, and you've chosen to be here. So we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us this evening. The subject of harassment and the anti-Asian hate crimes can be uncomfortable. So I want you to please be aware of that. If there's any triggers for you during this presentation, please be cautious and just be mindful of that. And if there are any tech issues, we apologize in advance because we can't control the internet, but please be patient and bear with us. We are also streaming on Facebook Live. So if you get disconnected from the webinar, jump onto the Wallam Temple Orlando page and we should be streaming live there. And those of you joining us live, do remember that you can still participate, send in your questions there, and we have a moderator that's actually feeding them to us here in the Zoom sphere. So thank you again. I wanted to take this moment to mention that today the anti-Asian hate crimes bill has passed in the Senate. And this is a great first step to help combat these hate crimes, but it's still up to all of us to continue to push for more and to do our due diligence. So by you being here tonight, you are making a difference. So thank you so much. I also want to take the opportunity to thank our partners of this webinar, the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, the Asian American Journalist Association, Asia Trend, Greater Orlando Asian American Bar Association, National Association of Asian American Professionals, Wallam Kung Fu Temple, and of course, a special thanks to the Orange County Sheriff's Office for presenting today. I would like to thank Mayor Demings and Sheriff Mina for their support of the AAPI community. I was honored by Mayor Demings recently, who appointed me as a member of the Orange County Citizen Safety Task Force, where I was able to work alongside community leaders, including Sheriff Mina. Mayor Demings was unable to join us in person, but I would like to share a few words from his recent newsletter. From Mayor Demings. I would like to thank our community for coming together in solidarity to stand against social inequities. With more than 40 years in public service and as mayor of Orange County, it has always been my solemn commitment to work with community leaders in addressing inequality. After meeting with AAPI groups and staff, they have made clear their grief and frustration about unprovoked attacks nationwide. Their experiences underscore an overwhelming desire to achieve justice for all people. Mayor Jerry Demings. You can sign up for the newsletter and stay informed on orangecountyfl.net. Next, I am very honored to introduce Sheriff John Mina, who is live with us today. After the shootings in Atlanta, I immediately reached out to Sheriff Mina. He made it a priority to personally meet with me to hear the concerns of the AAPI community. Since our conversation, I've received an abundance of support from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Today is a first step in what I hope will be an ongoing collaboration with local law enforcement to keep our community safe through open communication. Sheriff Mina, thank you so much for hearing us and being with us in person this evening. Sheriff Mina.
Well, good evening to everyone, and thank you so much, Mimi. Now, I want to thank all the partners for helping out with this very important presentation and topic. And the first thing that I would like to say is the Orange County Sheriff's Office and all of my other colleagues in Central Florida will not tolerate hate towards the AAPI community or any community. And we are committed to keeping this entire community safe, and that means everyone. So, most importantly, we want people to know that we're here for you. Call us anytime, and when I'm done talking, I'm gonna give you some numbers that you can call to us. But please reach out to us. And Mimi mentioned the recent legislation passed by the Senate. I think that's important because there you had a bipartisan effort, and especially during these times, Republicans and Democrats who are tired of hearing about the hate crimes towards our Asian American community. And this bill is going to enhance reporting and data that we need to fight these hate crimes and groups and people who are, harassing or assaulting or stalking or, even worse to those in our Asian American community. And, many, unfortunately, there's 18,000 different law enforcement agencies throughout the nation, and we all do things a little bit differently. I'm proud to say that the Orange County Sheriff's Office has a good reporting system for hate crimes, but that's not the way it is across the United States. So this bill will help all the states and local communities collect the correct data, because, if we know what's happening, then we can do something to fix it. And, I just saw the most recent research was that there have been over 3,800 incidents of hate crimes specifically towards our Asian American community throughout the United States. And I think that's very disheartening. But we're here to fight that. The last demographics I saw in Orange County, 70,000 plus in the Asian American community right here in Orange County. And at the sheriff's office, we want to reflect our community. And I will be honest, it has been a struggle to recruit and hire Asian Americans, and that's where I can use your help. Although I am proud that these past 2 or 3 years we have increased our hiring of Asian American deputies by 4%. So that is good. So I want to continue to see that number increase as our Asian American community increases here. And so many people, especially during these past few months, and Mimi and others, and the community members that I have met with from the Asian American community have asked, what do you need? What can we do? What if someone calls me a name and it's not a crime? So the simplest way that I can put it to all of you is that we need to know. And if you're unsure if it was a hate crime or a crime, or it's just someone hurling some nasty racial slur, call us. Let us know about it, because that may lead to something even worse. So we want to ensure that we know what's happening, and where it's happening, and who it's happening to, and who the people are doing it. But we can't possibly know that unless you tell us. So we want you to reach out to the sheriff's office. We want you to be comfortable coming to the sheriff's office. Or you can contact us through any of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and let us know what's going on in the community. If you are feeling you're threatened, harassed, or God forbid, assaulted, we're here to protect you. That's why we all became deputy sheriffs. That's why we got into law enforcement, is because we want to protect this community. And that means all people in our community, every single person, including our Asian American community. We take it personally when people pick on folks of different races or sexual orientation, and we're not going to put up with that. I think Orlando and Orange County has proven that is an extremely inclusive community, and we want to keep it that way. So when I tell you we're not going to tolerate, I truly mean it. We will not tolerate hate of any type. And God forbid that we do have those incidents, we will charge those folks with the proper crimes and the enhanced penalties for hate crimes. Now, I did, especially when all this was happening in my conversations with Mimi and others, I did check in our numbers to see if we were having any reported incidents of hate crimes. So going back 6 years, we don't have any reported hate crimes towards the Asian American community. But what I know, from doing this from a long time, is that that doesn't mean it's not happening. What it means is many of these instances are unreported. So again, that's where we need your help. We need you to call us. And we created this little sign, and I want to show you too. It's here to serve our whole community. Right? You're our whole community. And the easiest way to remember 407-836-HELP. That's our non-emergency line. But what I always tell folks in our community is, if you're unsure, and especially if you feel threatened or you're scared or frightened, just call 911. Okay, that's what we're there for. And it may turn out that it was not an emergency, but let's not take that chance. Call 911. Let us come there. Let's figure it out. And let us make sure you're safe and let's get to the bottom of this and make sure that this doesn't happen in our community again. So once again, thanks to Mimi and thanks to all the partners. We're so happy that you reached out to us at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. I feel humbled and proud that we're assisting you this, and I tell our residents all the time is we can't do it alone. We have 1,600 sworn deputies, but we can't be everywhere all the time. So that's why we need those eyes and ears out there. We need you to tell us when something goes on, and and the old adage is see something, say something, and then we will come and do something and help you out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Mina. It's an honor to have you here, and we appreciate all of your words that you've shared with us tonight. Next, Deputy Jose Vasquez of the Orange County Sheriff's Office will be sharing his presentation on personal safety and awareness. I will be presenting the Harassment and Bystander Intervention Training after his presentation. As a reminder, please type any questions you have in the chat, the Q&A box, or on Facebook if you are joining us on Facebook Live. We will be doing a Q&A at the end of both sessions, and we will be going back and forth and answering all those questions. Thank you so much, Deputy Vasquez, for being with us this evening.
First off, thank you, Ms. Mimi. And also I want to say thank you to the sheriff himself. I know we're in good hands, especially at the sheriff's office underneath him. But on to my portion of the presentation. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the sheriff's office presentation on hate crimes and personal safety, presented by yours truly in the sheriff's office crime prevention unit. I want to first say thank you to everyone for being here today. I know it's hard to find time, especially in our busy schedules, to come together and discuss important issues affecting our communities. So once again, thank you guys. I'm Deputy Jose Vasquez, and I'm with the Sheriff's Office Crime Prevention Unit, who specializes in the east side of Orange County. Myself and the unit have created this presentation to have this, what I like to call the uncomfortable talk with the community and with you guys, especially with the Asian American community on the issue of hate crimes. Our nation has recently seen a trend of violent, racially motivated attacks directed towards our Asian American communities. On behalf of myself and the Sheriff's Office, we are saddened and disgusted by these acts of violence, and we condemn any and all racially motivated attacks on not just our Asian American communities, but also towards any individual group or individual based on their race, gender, or any other affiliation. Hate has no place in our society, and I think we could all agree that we must come together as a community to defeat it. But before we go any further, a quick icebreaker on what the Crime Prevention Unit does here at the Sheriff's Office. The unit analyzes crime trends on a day-to-day basis in response to any areas that may have been hit with a wave of crime and see how we can prevent any further crimes from happening. For example, if there has been an increase in vehicle burglaries in one specific area, we will notify the community to make sure they can lock their doors, maybe increase their lighting in the area, or maybe notify them to keep their valuables out of their vehicles, which is unfortunately a common occurrence around Orange County. You'll be surprised by how many people leave their expensive items like wallets, purses, and even firearms in unlocked vehicles. So that's us in a nutshell. The unit is ultimately guided by the sheriff himself, as you just saw. Just give me 1 second so we start screen sharing the presentation itself. The unit is ultimately guided by the sheriff himself. His mission statement is why we as law enforcement come to work every day. I'll give you a second to read it. As crime prevention specialists, we want to reduce crime and the fear of crime by getting ahead of it. And of course, we are committed to excellence in law enforcement. That's why we want to get engaged in the community and talk with them. We could arrest bad guys all day long, but at the end of the day, we need to have this talk with you guys and see what's going on in the communities. That's why myself became a law enforcement officer. But, however, on a day-to-day basis, if you need to get in contact with the crime prevention operations, or you'll be talking to one of my immediate supervisors, Sergeant Hella Harvey or Corporal Mike Rowland. Additionally, the crime prevention unit has 5 different crime prevention specialists on a day-to-day basis. Each deputy here has their own specific area, even though we are countywide and we do help each other out on a daily basis. We are assigned a specific area to analyze crime. And quickly, before we go even further and actually talk about the hate crime issues and our recommendations and what to do and when I encountered with a crime of some sort, is that the recommendations in this presentation are intended to provide suggestions. This presentation is only advisory and it's not intended to identify all solutions to personal safety. So getting into it, let's have the talk. Hate crimes. What is a hate crime? Is hate speech itself a crime? How do I know if I've been a victim? When do I report it? And are there any programs available for the community? A quick definition of what exactly is a hate crime. A hate crime is basically a crime, typically one involving violence that is motivated by prejudice on the basis of race, religion, sexual orientation, or other grounds. Hate crimes have a broader effect than most other kinds of crime, and hate crime victims include not only the crime's immediate target, but also the others like them. Hate crimes affect families, communities, and at times the entire nation, as we've been seeing with the attacks going up north towards AAPI and members of the Asian American communities. So as Sheriff Mina previously mentioned, when it comes to hate crimes, we must first actually define what makes a hate crime a hate crime. Keep in mind, as Americans, we are given a number of freedoms. One of those freedoms is the freedom of speech underneath the First Amendment. Racial slurs, including hate speeches, for right now, is protected underneath the First Amendment, regardless of how hateful, vile, or disturbing it may be. Personally, as a Hispanic law enforcement officer, I've been verbally assaulted by some individuals while I was working the road. And even though they were spouting hateful things towards me, I know no crime was being committed. I just simply walked away. So right now, just simply spouting out hateful things is not a crime. So please keep that in mind. So when does hate speech become a hate crime itself? You need two things in order for a situation or incident to be labeled as a hate crime. Number one is the proof of racial bias. Basically, you need evidence or proof that the individual was racially motivated. This could be in the use of a racial slur, or maybe even a picture of a German swastika drawn on the wall. And secondly, you need an actual crime in itself, which could be anywhere from a physical assault to anywhere to someone breaking into your house. So you need those two things: racial bias and the actual crime, which equals a hate crime, obviously. So what do you do when you are a victim of a hate crime? If you believe you are a victim, when safe to do so, remove yourself from the situation and call 911 immediately. It is critical to report the hate crimes, not only that it shows support and get help for victims, but it also sends a clear message that the community will not tolerate these kinds of crimes. On the other side, if you are a witness to a crime, especially a hate crime, it is our recommendation to be the best and excellent witness and call 911 immediately. Tell the dispatcher where you are at and provide as much information as you can so deputies can respond and intervene. Keep in mind, as a deputy, when we're responding to calls, we need as much information possible. We need information who the suspect is, who the victim is. Are they getting away? Are they running on foot? Did they get in a vehicle? Every information that you give us is extremely important. I know we could talk about hate crimes essentially all day, but that's hate crimes in a condensed nutshell. Another issue I wanted to talk to you guys about is the combating workplace violence. This has been an issue especially prevalent in Orange County in the past decade or so, where we have seen very violent incidents involving customers or employees in the workplace. So real quick, we're going to be talking about the warning signs and some considerations or recommendations that we will give you guys. So for definition, what is workplace violence? Per OSHA, workplace violence is any act or threat of physical violence, harassment, intimidation, or other threatening, disruptive behavior that occurs at the work site. It can be in the form of verbal abuse, physical abuse, and unfortunately even homicide. Workplace violence can be committed by a disgruntled employee, or even a customer. Some real quick warning signs. Keep in mind, guys, there's a very exaggerate and plethora of warning signs, but these are the main ones that I've seen as a law enforcement officer when responding to workplace violence. Some real quick warning signs include verbal, nonverbal, or written threats or intimidation. This may include one of your employees or customer looking at you in a very aggressive manner with their in a boxing stance while their fists are clenched up. Looks like they're about to get physical. Another warning sign is inappropriate behavior, which includes obscene language, physically touching others. Another is expressions of a plan to hurt himself or others. In that case, you will need to, we recommend you call 911 immediately. Another warning sign is an externalization of blame, feeling victimized. In their world, the way they see reality is that they are not to blame for anything and everyone is out to get them. Another sign is productivity and also attendance problems. And lastly, a drastic change in belief systems. Some real quick safety considerations if you encounter someone that meets these signs. And also, as you read these and as I say them, these are considerations and things that me as a law enforcement officer conduct on a daily basis when I speak with individuals who may be hostile in nature. One of those things that we will consider for you guys to do is project your calmness. Be confident. Move and speak slowly, quietly, and confidently. Focus your attention on the other person to let them know that you are interested in what they have to say. As a deputy sheriff, I've been to many encounters, many calls where the hostile individual just wanted to be listened to, just wanted to be heard. I think we can all agree that we want to be heard in some way or another. And when an individual doesn't necessarily get heard, they might act out on it. Another consideration is using delaying tactics, which will give the person time to calm down. For example, I've personally used this, especially with someone I thought that was about to get physical with me. I've offered them a drink of water, kind of maneuvers their mentality away from being hostile and kind of gives them a second to think about what's going on. And lastly, if you see all these warning signs or you believe something is imminent, please notify your supervisor or law enforcement if behavior persists. Some things I do not recommend: that you pose in a challenging stance, such as standing directly opposite someone, especially with your hands on your hips or crossing your arms. Try to avoid any physical contact, finger pointing, or long periods of fixed eye contact. Don't challenge them, threaten them, or dare the individual. And of course, never belittle the person or make him or her feel foolish, or criticize or act impatiently toward the agitated individual. Keep in mind, when someone is exhibiting these signs, they're probably at an elevated state of awareness and they're not acting rationally. So kind of challenging them might provoke them into doing something. So please take these considerations. Real quick, we'll quickly discuss just crime in general and what crime is. So what exactly is crime? Basic crime is, in other words, as simple as I could say, is a violation of the law. You need three things for crime to happen. You need desire, ability, and opportunity. If the bad guy wants to steal a flat screen TV, you can't change his desire to want it. If the bad guy is 6'5" with bulging muscles who could bend metal, we can't change his ability. But one thing we can change is the opportunity. For example, leaving your car unlocked in a very dark area and you leave your purse there, you just give them opportunity to commit a crime. And that's where the crime prevention unit here comes into play. It's to deny and educate individuals on denying criminals opportunity. So real quick, we have the most common crimes here in Orange County. By definition, thefts is basically when someone steals from you without your consent. Burglaries, that's when someone breaks into your car, house, or business and commits a crime. And robbery, when someone steals from you by using violence or threatens the use of violence. When it comes to robbery, basically it's when they get physical with you and steal something of you. Some real quick personal safety tips. Please be aware of your surroundings, but also look like you are aware. I can't tell you the countless times where I responded to calls for service where a victim was robbed, and just to ask them where were they running at, and they tell me in a very dark area or in the wooded area, and they weren't paying attention to the surroundings. I think us, especially the younger generation, we have our cell phones in our hand way too much. So when you're looking at your cell phone, please just take a quick look to what's going on around your surroundings. Secondly, try and walk in well-lit areas when possible, and try to be with other people. Conceal your technology and wallet, iPads, cell phones, etc., and try to keep currency and valuables to a minimum on your person. Be cautious when approached by strangers, especially if they are trying to sell you something or use your phone. I think we all want to believe that everyone has the best interests for us. Unfortunately, it's the reality that some people have mischievous ideations for you. So please be careful when meeting a new person. And lastly, if you go or out and about, please let a trusted friend or family member know when to expect you home. When it comes to auto thefts and auto burglaries in general, they're probably the most popular crime amongst criminals in Orange County. And unfortunately, a vast majority of victims don't follow the real basic concepts of vehicle burglary prevention. And those are: park in a well-lit area when you're able to, remove everything and anything that may seem valuable out of your vehicles, and lock your doors and arm your security system if you have one. Just simply locking your doors and taking your stuff out of your vehicle has denied the criminals an opportunity to steal from you. When it comes to residential burglaries, that's when someone breaks into your house. A real quick, I'm going to hit the main points. I can provide as much information as I can that could last an entire day, but real quick, just check your locks. Do they work? We recommend deadbolts, maybe latch cover plates so somebody can't pry with a crowbar. And do your windows have locks? And if they are, do you actually lock them at night? Do you actually check that your locks are actually working and are they actually locked? Lighting. Believe it or not, criminals hate being seen. And how are they seen, especially at night? Lights. So is your property illuminated at night? Alarm security systems. Do you guys have one? And of course, if unfortunately you are a victim of burglary, do your valuables have a serial number? And are those serial numbers documented somewhere? Keep in mind, a lot of these criminals like to take valuables and pawn them. And when you pawn, if you guys ever pawn anything, we'll have to take the serial number and it gets entered to a system, which we track, which we as law enforcement can track. Some other general safety and awareness issues. Utilizing social media and information sharing with crime-related interests and public safety precaution. Observing the chance for complacency and repetition of open garages and unlocked vehicles. Changing up arriving, dwelling, and exiting habits from home, work, or places you frequent regularly. Unfortunately, there was a incident out of state involving a law enforcement officer where he was driving on his way home, and unfortunately a criminal did follow him home, waited for him to leave his house, and his house was burglarized. So if it could happen to a law enforcement officer, it could happen to you. So, and lastly, please utilize timed interior and exterior lighting when out of town to give an impression of an occupied home. What the bad guys like to do is wait for you guys to leave your house to get an easy score. So please, if you're leaving for a vacation, try to keep a timed lighting that makes it seem that you are actually in the house. Another issue that we've been seeing that's being prevalent, especially in this generation, is social media. Be aware of social media posts of your location, duties, or events. Not all Facebook friends are your friends. If possible, post after you have made it back home safely. Do not give up your immediate travel locations and travel away from home. Be cognizant of your background with posted photos, videos that could expose your whereabouts. I know that I personally have social media, so please be aware, be cognizant of what you post on there. If you're posting that you're in Cancun, you just told the entire world that you're out of your house. So please be careful in what you post. And also something that's been brought to the attention of law enforcement. If you post an image on social media and you have, especially from a smartphone, and you have your location turned on, you can right click that image, ask for that image details, and through some apps, you can find the GPS location and find out exactly where that photo was taken. So if you're posting pictures of a Rolex watch inside your house, you also just told the world where you're located at and where that expensive watch is at. So please be careful in what you post on social media. Now, if you get anything out of this presentation, it's going to be this right here. One of the biggest prevalent ideas from the sheriff's office is the see something, say something concept. How are we supposed to help our community if you guys do not notify us? We could have deputies and increase our presence all day long, but at the end of the day, we need the community to contact us as well to state what's going on in our communities. So in the event that you need to call 911, please follow the information. And keep in mind, in Orange County, we have a melting pot of different languages and different communities from all around the world. So when you pick up and call 911, if you do not speak English, state the language you would like to communicate in. We have translators in every language possible. So please, language is not an issue with us. And also to people who are on this Zoom meeting, please relay this to your loved ones and to your friends who could not be here today. Next, we can identify yourself, your location, and phone number from which you are calling. Unfortunately, with cellular phones, depending on what's happening, we mostly will not be able to track just by your GPS location. So giving us a place where you're at is extremely vital to get to you. Third, what is happening exactly? Were you attacked? Did someone steal from you? If you're unsure what to say, just explain the best you can. Third, when and where did the crime occur? Is the crime in progress? How long ago did it occur? Of course, telling that someone is getting attacked right now will elicit a different response from you trying to report a burglary that occurred a couple weeks ago. So please tell if it's in progress, happening right now, or if it happened a while ago. And lastly, our dispatchers are going to ask you for suspect information. What does the bad guy look like? Give the operator as much information about the suspect and vehicle as you can. Are they running on foot? Did they get in a vehicle? What are they wearing? Their physical characteristics. Are they really tall? Are they really short? Curly hair, long hair? Everything is extremely important. Especially tell us if there's been any weapons involved. And please, you can call 911, but for whatever reason you can't call 911, you could also text us. And keep in mind something that we want you to make aware of as well. We also have a non-emergency number. If you have an emergency, please call 911 first. But if you want for us to document a situation that is not emergency or is non-life threatening, please call 407-836-4357. Once again, that's 407-836-HELP. The non-emergency number can be used for general inquiries towards the sheriff's office, for noise complaints, reports of a crime that occurred in the past, or other non-emergency situations. Additionally, we want to let you guys be aware of what's going on in the county as well, crime-wise. Of course, you can always get in contact with yours truly and the crime prevention unit. But if you want to, you could also do it yourself. Orange County Sheriff's Office provides information on most crimes that have occurred in the Orange County area. To see what is occurring in your area, go to OCSO.com. And on top of the right-hand screen, click on the Crime Information tab on the top of your screen. Just simply click it and you'll have to provide the closest intersection or an address, and also give a time span of the crime that's been going on. And of course, there's a direct link at the bottom. I know we could talk about it all day if I really wanted to, but those are the biggest issues that I want to speak to you guys about real quick. So I'm going to end this presentation real quick with any questions, comments, concerns relating to crime prevention or the sheriff's office.
All right. Thank you so much, Deputy Vasquez. All right, so those asking questions, please continue to type them in the Q&A box, in the chat box, and also for those of you on Facebook Live, you are experiencing a delay. So keep typing them in because we're going to have a giant, amazing Q&A at the end where we're going to answer all of your questions. So thank you again, Deputy Vasquez, for that very informative presentation on personal safety. We are going to go into the harassment and bystander intervention training now. What I would like to remind everybody is that you can keep typing in those questions and Deputy Vasquez will be there to answer them at the end, as will I after my presentation. So thank you so much again. All right, let me screen share as well. Hopefully you can see my screen and hopefully you can see the slideshow. So welcome to the harassment and bystander intervention training portion of this webinar. I am frustrated that there is the need to discuss harassment and bystander intervention training due to the rise in anti-Asian hate crimes around the nation and the reports of harassment that we have been hearing here in Central Florida. However, this is not new and we have been here before. It's been going on, and unfortunately, it's going to continue. So the best way to help ourselves and one another is to be prepared. Now, before we start, please remember, safety first, use your smarts. I'm not going to read this whole long list of things to you, but everything I share with you today on behalf of myself and Wallam Temple is a use at your own risk. So just please be smart about all the information you get. Every situation is different. Now, by no means do I consider myself to be a tactical expert. I'm not law enforcement, but what I'm really good at is learning from experience, logistics, and building a strategy to improve processes. In addition to my martial arts knowledge, I've also done training and consulted with experts in the field on this subject. So today, what I'd like you to start thinking about is a safe strategy that you can use to protect yourself against verbal harassment or protect someone else. So for me, any intervention, self-defense, de-escalation skill, whether it's verbal or physical, takes consistent practice over time. So I could give you so much information today, but if you don't implement it and practice it, you will not be able to actually utilize it. All right. So just keep that in mind as we go through these slides. And even then, results are never guaranteed, but it is still always better to be prepared. Now, I'm also going to share a really cool top secret Kung Fu skill with you though. So hang in there. And that's actually a skill that anybody can do. And it is something that I actually believe has saved my life. If you want to learn how to kick someone in the face, how to punch somebody in the face, how to disarm someone, this is not the webinar for you. There are amazing self-defense courses out there. There are a lot of different organizations that give this training. Again, it cannot be done in a 20-minute presentation. So sign up for one of those if that's what you're interested in. So what can you expect to learn? For me, a strategy I've come up with that I've implemented on a daily basis, as well as anytime I've had any sort of trauma or stress situation, is SAS. It is totally coincidental that it's kind of like sassy because this is me giving the presentation, but that is self-awareness, action, and speak out. So for me, this is what I go to when I have a situation of high stress or trauma. What is harassment? So many of us have been harassed on some level before. It could be getting, bad looks or being in school and being picked on. It could be so many different things, but generally harassment is aggressive pressure or intimidation. And what's important here to be mindful of is that if you're feeling harassed, then that is your reality. And just by a quick poll, I think we have our tech guy on here. How many of you have either witnessed harassment or have been harassed yourself? And remember, harassment is not just physical. It could be heckling, it could be menacing looks, it can be being followed. And I'm just going to leave this up here for another 10 seconds or so, just to get an idea of those of you joining us. If you're on Facebook Live, apologies, you're not going to be able to vote, but it looks like, let's close out in 3 seconds here, 2, 1. All right. It looks like an overwhelming 78% says that they have either been harassed or witnessed. 15% say no, and 7% says unsure. And that's okay, because honestly, sometimes we just don't know how to define that. And so this is kind of what I wanted to check in on, and how you define harassment. And again, remember, this is how you're feeling. So please be mindful of that. All right. Now, I've been a martial artist my whole life, and my husband often says my most powerful weapon is not my fist, but my voice. I'd like to think he says this because I'm an advocate. I stand up for what I believe in, but I think it's just because I'm really, really loud, which is also very true. Now, believe it or not, though, my voice has actually saved me on more than one occasion. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, I have had interactions over the last several years of my existence, from verbal confrontation, even to a home break-in. I was home sleeping. Someone's actually broken into my home, in which I then had to chase them out of my house and use my instincts and skills to get myself out of that situation. Now, again, all of these interactions, all of the trauma, all of the stress, any harassment, all of that is very personal. So each person is going to react very differently regardless of training. But what I did want to bring up in that scenario is that I was able to go to my strategy that I've practiced and my techniques that I've been able to implement over time. And there's definitely one that I can share with you today. Now, again, harassment or stress or trauma can manifest in many forms. For example, my husband, for some reason, who is the calmer of the partnership, many of you are martial artists who are here joining or know me. You guys know that my husband, Oscar, is the calm one. He, for some reason, though, always ends up driving behind or next to someone who has major road rage, and on many occasions has been aggressively accosted or yelled at, literally cars stopped, people getting out, trying to start interactions with him. And his calm demeanor, the words he used, the de-escalation techniques that we both use in different scenarios have been able to safely get us out of those situations. All right. And so he's even gotten apologies from people after they've come out and yelled at him. So maybe he should be giving this presentation, but you're stuck with me. So, but what we have here are two different stories, two very different people confronted with two very high stress situations. However, we both were able to come out of the situation safely because we used a similar strategy that led to a safe outcome. Now, 80% of your auditory skills and many of your visual skills are impaired when you are put in a high stress scenario. So it is debilitating when you possibly could be harassed. Someone's yelling at you and you have no idea why, or if you don't even speak the same language and you don't understand what's happening, it could be very, very stressful. So your senses are disabled, and your ability to make good decisions goes out the window, right? And so if you're a person who gets very stressed out or high tempered or doesn't handle pressure very well, this is a problem if you are harassed or if you see harassment, right? So how can you prepare for that? I'm going to give you the best advice. Basically, never get stressed, never get into an interaction where you will have any kind of disagreement, and just pretty much live life where you've had all of that removed and you're never going to have any problems ever. Got it? All right. Thank you, guys. Great workshop. Just kidding. Okay. Obviously, that's not reasonable. That's not possible. We cannot control our surroundings. And I think on a daily basis, we all have more stress in our life than we want to. Now, what is the answer? Here it is. This is the answer to all of our problems. Maybe not, but it is a good answer. And it is something very common that we all do, that if you want to eliminate stress, you want to be able to bring yourself down from that level of high energy where your heart is racing, you just need to stay calm and breathe. Now, this sounds like common sense, but quote from Voltaire, common sense is not very common. So what I would like you to think about right now is relearning how to breathe, because we all breathe on a daily basis. But many of us, I'm going to say the majority of us, do not breathe correctly. As a matter of fact, as a martial artist and as a teacher for over 30 years, I have seen so many people struggling with movement, with learning, with endurance, with the physicality of martial arts. And most of the time, if they adjust their breathing, all of these things can be fixed, because breathing is a way to connect the mind and body in the same way as your movement practice does. Proper breathing will bring clarity to your senses, slow down your heart rate, and allow you to have increased situational awareness. So let's do it. If you feel comfortable, I'm going to stay seated because I don't want to lose my camera angle. But if you feel comfortable, I know you've been sitting for almost an hour now, go ahead and stand up with your feet, shoulder width apart, and just take a deep breath. And that deep breath should be an inhale through your nose and an exhale through your mouth. I want you to relax your shoulders. I want you to feel like you're here in the ocean, unless that stresses you out, and just start breathing naturally, right? And so hopefully already you are starting to feel a little bit calmer. If you are standing, thank you for participating. I appreciate that. I'd like you to continue standing, and I'd like to take you on to the second part of this, which is tactical breathing. Now, tactical breathing is proven by all sorts of science and medicine that I don't need to explain because it's not important. Just believe me that it will lower your heart rate, keep your eyes and mind clear. And in meditation and fitness, it's often called box breathing, because as you see here in my slide, you are literally going to breathe along the box. So we're going to practice this now, because this technique will help you if you practice it in so many different settings, whether it's harassment, whether it's stress. This is a proven technique. So you're going to inhale across that box in 4 seconds. So ready? Take a deep breath in, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to hold your breath for 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, and rest, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you can relax for a moment. So you're going to follow the box breathing by inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4. And on that rest, it's literally no inhale, no exhale. You can consider it another hold, but basically you're closing off the airways so that you're not inhaling or exhaling. All right. I'd like you to take one more deep breath like that while we're continuing to go through, and just really try to focus on that. Now, if you think the 4 seconds, and I counted a little fast. If that 4 seconds was difficult for you, you need to practice. I highly recommend you do a program like Tai Chi or meditation or yoga. I recommend those in addition to great diet, exercise, and sleep. That's going to help keep your body and mind in order. But if you can't do that, then this is your homework. I know, I'm sorry. I hate homework. I always tell the kids I hate homework, the kids at Kung Fu, and they're never happy when we give them homework. But here's the thing. This is the type of homework you can do at any time. You don't have to go take a class. You don't have to, make a special time. If you did, that would be amazing, but you don't actually have to do that. If you've ever found yourself in any of these situations, parents or aunts and uncles or anybody who've ever been around a lot of children or one child or any child that's caused a little bit of stress, that is a great time to try your tactical breathing. If you've ever had a uncomfortable conversation with a loved one, perhaps, or a disagreement, it is a great time to practice your tactical breathing. This is literally from my husband. This is what he becomes. So remember I told you he was the calm one. This is the only time he becomes hangry, which is when he's hungry and angry. And that is a good time where I've seen him practice his tactical breathing. And we've all been watching and experiencing the anti-Asian hate crimes. We've been reading the news. We've been doom scrolling on the social media. That is going to bring up your stress levels and is a great time to practice your tactical breathing. Whatever happens though, practice it daily. You need to practice it daily. So I guarantee there's an opportunity for you all to practice throughout the day. I'm going to ask you later what that opportunity is going to be. So I want you to be thinking about it as we move through this presentation. Now, let's get to it. The strategy for if you are harassed or if you witness harassment is very simple. Self-awareness, action, speak out. What does that mean? First of all, we just saw an amazing presentation by Deputy Vasquez. If you are preventive, if you have done all of those steps that he told you to do, the likelihood of you having a situation has been lowered because you're aware of your surroundings. You've made sure that you are paying attention. You're not putting yourself as a target, right? So preventive is the number one way. And obviously, if your life feels threatened, if you see something threatening, just call 911. Okay, breathe and call 911. Now, what to do if I'm being verbally harassed? Self-awareness. The first thing you do, oh my goodness, never could have guessed, right? Box breathing. Start your tactical breathing immediately. If you start feeling stressed in any way and you've practiced this, you shouldn't even have to think about it. It should be an automatic response. All right. The second thing is be aware of your surroundings. Where am I and where is the harasser? Are they getting closer to me? Are they over there, but the door is right here and I'm near the door? Look around, know your surroundings, be aware of what's going on around you. Eye contact. Do not make eye contact with the harasser if you can help it. Because if you make eye contact, it can be perceived as aggressive. Even though you don't think it's aggressive, somebody who is trying to get a rise out of you, get a reaction, they want that reaction. They want you to be reactive. So try not to make eye contact, as counterintuitive as that may sound to some of you. All right. And then next is your body language. Deputy Vasquez talked about this as well. If you get all aggressive and you act like you're ready to fight, that actually might happen. So really try to keep a calm demeanor, stay back, hands in a neutral position, none of these other crazy things. All right, what to do if you're being verbally harassed, the action portion. Number one is if you can get to safety and there's a door and you can just remove yourself from the scenario, remove yourself from the scenario. Get somewhere safe and leave if possible. Okay, as a martial artist, this sounds like, what kind of advice is this? Stay and fight. No, avoid escalation and violence, right? You want to de-escalate. You want to put a barrier between you and the harasser and establish boundaries. If you can't get to safety, the door's not nearby, but you're in a store, someone's approached you, get to the other side of a display case. Find some way to make sure that if someone's for some reason wanted to become physical, there's a barrier between you and them. If you feel the need to speak to this person because they absolutely will not leave you alone, I recommend you use a firm but calm tone. That has to be practiced. Okay. Now, when I yelled at the person in my house, that wasn't a time to be calm because that was like more of a life-threatening situation. If you're in a store, somebody's approaching you, they're getting a little nasty, you just want to remove yourself from the situation. Use sentences that you have practiced and that are directional. Tell them what you want. Stop speaking to me. Your words have no meaning to me. Go away. But you need to use a phrase that is natural to you. So none of these may be natural to you. All right. None of this information actually may be natural. You may need to do a lot of different seminars to find the strategy that works for you. But what's important is that you are calm and that you execute with confidence and something that's natural. And remember, always thinking, how can I go towards peace and de-escalation? Because heaven forbid they have a weapon or something worse, right? You want to make sure that you are de-escalating and not adding fuel to the fire. And finally, you have a cell phone. One of the law enforcement, former military consults that I spoke to said they often tell their seminars to pull out their phone and just get on their phone. And sometimes that gets rid of the person. Or you could start taking pictures and video and say, look, hey, you're harassing me. I have you on video. Step away. This is being documented, you're being recorded, right? And so sometimes though, that might make things worse. You have to use your gut feeling. You have to feel the situation out. I don't have all the answers, unfortunately. I'm just trying to give you ideas for you to build your best strategy. But again, avoid that eye contact, avoid escalating the situation, use your best judgment. What to do if I'm being verbally harassed? Finally, speak out. If there's someone nearby and you see them, ask them for help. Hey, can you get the store manager? This person is bothering me. Or, hey, call 911. This person is a problem. They've said XYZ, right? So speak out, use your words. If you don't see anyone around, maybe they're around the corner, stocking the shelf or something. So use your voice. This is the time to speak out, ask for help, yell for help, ask somebody to assist you. Okay. But the main thing here is to have that plan. So I believe having self-awareness, thinking about my action and speaking out is a strategy for me that's worked. If any piece of that works for you, awesome. All right, now we're going to move on to the bystander intervention training. What to do if I see someone being verbally harassed. So if I see someone else being verbally harassed, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to think about my self-awareness, my action, and my speaking out. Now, self-awareness, it's the same. We're going to start our tactical breathing. I'm sure you guys are tactically breathing now because I'm just talking and going on and on and on, and you're ready for this to be wrapped up so you can have dinner. All right, so tactical breathing, same thing. Where are you? Where is the perceived victim? Where is the harasser? What's happening? Are you moving towards the harasser or are you moving towards the victim, right? So know what's going on. Know where the exits are. Look around. Be aware. Do not make eye contact with the harasser. Make eye contact with the perceived victim. Make eye contact with the person you think is being victimized. Keep your body language natural, neutral, relaxed. Avoid escalation. The next action, right? So self-awareness action. Again, if you can, put a barrier between you and the harasser. It would be really bad if they suddenly turned on you and then attacked you and left that person alone. Now that would be great for the victim, but not great for you, right? But what you do also need to do is find the right time to intervene and make sure you're hearing what you're hearing and seeing what you're seeing. Be aware and make sure you're asking, hey, do you need help? Hey, do you want me to get the store manager? Hey, are you all right? Ask the person if they need help and do so in a way that's going to de-escalate and not escalate the situation, right? So maybe we should see the manager together. Would you like me to walk you to your car? You know, think about different scenarios in which you can practice a phrase that comes naturally that you can help to intervene the situation. And if you can, escort that person to safety. Hey, let's just step outside, or hey, I want to show you this display case, or just try to remove them from the situation if you can, right? If you can be safely out of harm's way, that's the ideal thing. And of course, if you don't want to go anywhere near it, this is uncomfortable for you, you could also record. You could do the same thing and record from a distance, get some documentation for witnessing. You can make sure that you are stating the day, the time, what you're seeing, so that that person can then use that as evidence if unfortunately things go really bad. All right. And just be a nice person. Don't use this to be like, you know, I'm going to get more social media followers. This is for the victim, right? So just be cool about that. And of course, if you see anything that looks dangerous or it starts to escalate, Deputy Vasquez mentioned, like, if you're not sure, just call 911, because if it's not there now, it could get there by the time 911 gets there. So you always want to err on the side of safety and think, what is the safest action that I can do? Finally, speak out. If there's someone else nearby, ask them to call 911. Ask them to go get the store manager if you don't want to take your eye off of what's happening. There could be other people around that are willing to help out. So finally, bystander intervention, personal harassment, same thing, self-awareness, action, speak out, have a strategy, have a plan, have ideas in your head that will work for you. Okay, again, it has to be for you. It has to be something natural to you. And now I would like you to think about sharing. You don't have to share your experience if you're uncomfortable. You can do so anonymously to so many different organizations. Stop AAP I Hate, of course, and Asian Americans Advancing Justice are two amazing ones that are out there that would like to know what is going on. And I believe here in Central Florida, we just heard that they want to hear from you. They want to know, the Orange County Sheriff Office wants to know if you are being harassed. They want to make a record of this so that we can be aware. And please know that you're not alone, that we are here as a community. We are here to support one another. We are here to be here for one another so that this does not happen. All right. So know that you're not alone. Now, I'd like you to practice your box breathing, because if there is one thing I wanted you to remember from this, it's how to do your box breathing. And while you do that, we're going to throw up another survey here on where can you practice your box breathing, or where do you think your box breathing is going to be helpful for you? So one, in the car. Are you the type of person that has a little bit of road rage or a little impatient or speedster? Maybe at work, maybe you have a stressful work environment. In an argument with a friend or family member. And then you can also type your answer in the chat. And I'd love to hear some of those answers from you. So please go ahead and take a couple more seconds to let us know what your answers are. So right now it looks like we've got a lot of people saying in an argument, a lot of people getting in arguments here. And that's okay. That's okay. No judgment. But okay, we'll close this poll out now. And those of you on Facebook, I apologize that you can't participate in this portion of it, but I do want you to be thinking about when can you practice, your breathing. All right. And here we have about 67%, the majority overwhelming says in an argument with a friend. And then after that, tied, we have in the car and at work. And then I think we have some answers in the chat, the doctor's office, when you wake up, before an exam or a quiz, in the morning when having coffee. It can be daily. These are all really great options. Thank you so much for sharing. So yes, this is amazing. That means I feel like you're paying attention and that you're going to be practicing your breathing. So awesome. Now, finally, I know that everybody here feels a little more comfortable, I hope anyway, that if you're verbally harassed or you see verbal harassment, it's not maybe as dangerous as when you witness a physical attack. It's definitely not as dangerous, but maybe you're curious, right? We all saw this. We all saw this 65-year-old woman being attacked and seeing the security guard close the door on her. And I know that you felt what I felt, which was, this is unbelievable. This is completely wrong. And this is not okay. What can I do? And this is probably why a lot of you are here. This is why I did additional training. This is why I also said, look, even if I'm a martial artist, I'm not necessarily going to go and attack this person, right? What can I do? Like this, I can't just stand by and do nothing. And a lot of us has felt so helpless because we felt like we can't do anything. First of all, call 911. If you see this happening, immediately call 911. That is number one. Even if you were a law enforcement officer or a tactical person, I've been told from, all of my experts that that's the first thing you do, because if you engage, if something happens and 911's not on the way and that person is carrying a weapon and then both of you are injured, then nobody's coming to help. So 911 is the first thing that you do. After that, I would say try to come up with your SAS, right? Think about your self-awareness, your action, and your speaking out. Please remember, this is a personal decision, right? I know it was hard to watch this, but you are not a police officer. You are not a trained professional with no physical training. Do not jeopardize your personal safety. But as a citizen, we have the right to legally defend ourselves if we feel our lives are at threat, and also to protect others. So being a good witness is a great way. If you feel that you don't have the capability to intervene in any of those other ways, all of the stuff that the sheriff's office shared with us, those are all great things. Start documenting, right? Start recording. Okay, but if it were me, and I know a lot of you want more answers, I would probably make sure I followed my strategy, which was, am I in a safe position to yell? Am I behind a car? Maybe I'm or if I'm in the window, maybe I jam the door so I can still yell and say, hey, I've just called 911, get out of here. Hey, stop. Yelling stop unbelievably makes people stop. I will tell you, when the person broke into my house, I yelled, get out, and they did get out. I don't know if that's why they got out, because I yelled the direction, but yelling actually jolts people. And if someone feels like they are caught, their instinct is to run. It's not 100% foolproof. It's not, statistically perfect, but really it's a likelihood, right? So at least yelling, stop, be assertive. Police are on their way. Anything you can yell at. I'll be honest, I yelled all sorts of other expletives when that person was in my home. Whatever you feel will get that person away and running away from you and them. That's what you want to think about, what your plan would be in that situation. So it's really a personal decision, and it's got to be something that you come up with that you're comfortable with. Now, there's also a lot of upcoming events that are constantly on the rise. These are some that are from our partner organizations. Please take a screenshot. This will also be posted on YouTube so that you could see this and watch it over and over and over again, because it was so much fun. But signing up for more events is going to help arm you with more knowledge and more awareness and make you feel more prepared. Okay, so like I said, maybe you only take the box breathing from this, right? Maybe you only take one of the action items. Then you go to another training. Those are all really great trainings. So maybe there's something for you and you can come up with your strategy. But if you do take something from this, please take the tactical breathing, or please just start breathing a little bit more purposefully and with intention, because that is definitely going to help keep you nice and calm and take a little bit of stress off. And also, here's my plan, which is the SAS, which is self-awareness, action, speak out. That works for me. Again, take from it what works for you. It doesn't have to be the exact order. It doesn't have to be all of those things I said. It could just be one or two. What works for you is what's going to work. And finally, know that you are supported. We're all here for you. The community is trying to come together and come up with some ways that, in addition to the sheriff's office, there's some community support, so that if these things happen, we have someone that can come out and do some outreach. We are working on it. I am all those amazing partners I read earlier. We have been constantly meeting and trying to come up with some ways that we can better serve the community. If you'd like to volunteer and be involved, let us know. The more people we have supporting one another and putting themselves out there, the better. Finally, just know yourself, right? So everything I taught you today, everything I went over, everything the sheriff's office shared with you, just remember, these are all stressful situations, and your judgment, it's your call. You know yourself best. So continue to learn, practice, and implement what feels right for you. De-escalate the situation. Do not escalate the situation. Sometimes, as a martial artist, I tell my students, you have to check your ego. This is not a time to try to be a superhero, and I'm going to date myself and be, Bruce Willis and Die Hard, right? Just remember, it's always best to err on the side of safety. All right, that is all. If you'd like, you can follow me at Sifu Mimi Chan on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm constantly posting updates and all of the things that we are sharing and all of the different seminars that are coming up. Thank you so much for your attention today. Thank you for being here to learn and empower yourselves to combat xenophobia, racism, and hate, because it will not stand here or anywhere else. And you being here is a great step in that direction. Now, I can't wait to share all these amazing questions, and Deputy Vasquez is going to join us to answer those questions. So I'm going to open up the queue that my amazing moderators, thank you so much to them and my team, On and Vi and Jason and Flores. Thank you guys so much for helping from the tech side today. So we've got some questions lined up for you. And I think it's going to be Deputy Vasquez and I kind of going back and forth. So here we go. Question 1 for Deputy Vasquez. So let's unmute you, and Flores, let's make sure that he is spotlighted with me as well. Okay. What are examples of hate crimes you can give that are not violence to clarify its meaning?
Yeah, when it comes to hate crimes, it's not exclusive to violent hate crimes such as assaults or batteries. We do have non-violent hate crimes. For example, having your house burglarized with a German swastika written in front of it, or another racial slur. That's when it comes to non-violent hate crimes, they are usually property related. So
okay, great. And another question for you is it permissible to carry martial arts eskrima sticks, staff, spears, or other like martial weapons in public places or on the street, given it's okay to carry a baseball bat, garden shovel, or fishing spear?
Very oddly specific question there. Under Florida law, if it's considered a weapon, you cannot open carry it. That's why baseball bats are legal to carry out in the open, because they are considered a baseball bat, a bat used for the sport of baseball. When it comes to swords, spears, anything of that nature, they are considered a weapon. So you will not be able to open carry that in a public place.
Okay, thank you. And this question comes from Gregory. Muchas gracias, Deputy Vasquez. So informative and thought-provoking. We appreciate your team and your service. In your personal opinion, how do we start the awkward dialogue with different communities in creating peace and solidarity, dispelling stereotypes, and being mindful of differences? Thank you.
Very broad question, but me personally, obviously as a law enforcement officer, I have that ability to engage with everybody I come in contact with. On a day-to-day basis, I would recommend just being vocal, attending community meetings such as this. Be heard, be vocal. Grab a friend of a different race or gender and just ask them a question. That's usually how we create peace and solidarity, just opening up that dialogue in general.
Thank you. And from Stephen Chong, how would you know what sector you are in?
I just saw that question. If Mr. Chong, you're showing, when you ask that question, are you relating that if you were to call 911 or just in general? If obviously we have a map on the Orange County Sheriff's Office detailing each specific sector. If you are asking in reference to getting in contact with a crime prevention officer or anything of that nature, just go to our website and look at the map. Essentially, Sector 2 is East Orange County, which is Cimarron Boulevard, all the way to the Brevard County line. Downtown area would be Sector 4. But keep in mind, we do have municipalities such as Orlando Police Department, Apopka PD. If you're confused, just contact the Sheriff's Office and they'll be able to relate it to you.
Great. Yeah. And that website actually is so valuable. A lot of people have been telling me, wow, there's so much information on there. So thank you. All right. From Leanna, you mentioned that hate crimes have a broader effect than other crimes. What did you mean by that?
What I mean by that, for example, I think I'll answer that question with an example. If you're an individual just walking and someone just punches you in the stomach and runs away, of course, call 911 and if possible, we'll make an arrest. But I think we can agree that might not make the daily news or some sort. But if you're attacked and if there's some racial motivation, they say a racial slur, they're not attacking you. I think they're attacking a race and personally. So that's why when a hate crime occurs, the whole nation feels it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And this question comes from Iman. Just out of curiosity, why would crossing your arms be possibly a bad move to make in front of someone behaving oddly or violently?
I think we can all agree that body language is a form of communication. When it comes to crossing your arms, it can mean a lot of things. It could mean maybe you're cold, maybe you want to be comfortable. In my personal experience, when someone crosses their arms, especially in a law enforcement setting, usually they get very defensive or they're very stressed. So when you're dealing with someone who's very amped up, so to say, and you cross your arms, they might interpret that as you being stressed out as well, and it might feed off that nature. So like I said, it's not a end all be all to crossing your arms, but I would personally not recommend it.
Okay. And this question comes from our Facebook. Yay. This is from Adrian. Hi, Adrian Lee. Are there translated materials for hate crime definitions and procedures that are provided by the Sheriff's Office?
Currently, I think this is why we attend these webinars as well and get in contact with community leaders. We do have a plethora of information out there. And of course, we do have it that's translated usually into Spanish, but into more specific languages, we'll have to get in contact with community leaders to help us translate as well. So,
okay. And from, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Just real quick, even though I consider us a resource, not the source. So we gotta feed on each other when it comes to helping out the community.
Excellent. And this actually is also from Adrian and something that I wanted to mention because I just recently found out there were so many different services that you guys provide. And, you've been working with me, of course, but she asks, what other outreach strategies do the Sheriff's Office provide to businesses that may be wary of encountering anti-Asian hate crimes?
Usually, when it comes to the crime prevention area, we usually do provide what is called security surveys, as you will. We'll go out, you'll get in contact with a crime prevention specialist. We'll come out to your area and we'll look at your security systems, coming from your locks to your security system to your actual surveillance cameras. That's usually how we directly try to prevent not just specifically hate crimes, but crimes in general when it comes to a business standpoint. We also have a business watch member where you are in direct contact with a crime prevention specialist if you have any needs with the Sheriff's Office directly. And continuing with helping out specific groups, the sheriff himself has created what we call the LGBTQ partnership safe place where businesses can join that group and then members of obviously the gay, lesbian community can have a safe place as well to be safe. So.
Okay. This question is from Valerie, and it's kind of a long one. I'll try to sum. If someone files a report of verbal attacks, where does that report go? Is it filed as an incident? Can they be tabulated in the future? Like, I guess the main thing is there a way that we could call and go, hey, what's the number of reports on just verbal harassment versus, a case number for something that we reported as a crime? And, how can that be public knowledge?
Right now, when it comes to verbal attacks, where it's just verbal, not actually labeled as a hate crime, it will be documented at the sheriff's office. If you want some more specific inquiries to how many incidents or verbal attacks or in a specific area, you can get in touch with our records department, which is located on the Orange County website as well. So,
okay,
like I said, it just gets documented and it's just in our database.
Okay, and I'm not sure if this kind of crosses with that question. This is from Dusk on Facebook. With hate crimes becoming more violent and more prevalent, are there any plans for a hate crime registry?
At this time, I think it's more of a, I'll get in touch with the sheriff if he wants to get in touch with the registry. But right now, just there's no plans involved, possibly, hopefully in the future, to get a hate crime registry involved.
Okay. And this question is also, I think, from the same person. It's it's a pretty vague one, but if hate has no place in our society, why is it so readily given a voice and a platform to grow? So I guess really, why do you feel like it continues to exacerbate over time, even though I think it's because you maybe stated that in your presentation?
Just real quick, the following is from the opinion of Jose Vasquez, personally, in the sheriff's office. Hate speech is a First Amendment right. Okay. If you get rid of, I'm not saying hate speech is right. I am not saying that. I think it's disgusting and it should have no place, but it is right. And if you take away that right, then more rights will be, I believe more rights will be taken away after that. So like I said, I do not condone hate speech. I don't want it anywhere near me, but unfortunately it's a reality of the world we live in. So it's unfortunately a freedom.
Okay. I'm going to give you a second and I'll take a question. I guess that was for me. And so you could take a moment and grab a drink of water. Thank you for answering all these questions. UA asked, are there volunteer opportunities you can share currently or pending that involve social civil justice for us to join? Yes, absolutely. So you can, again, hit me up at social media at Sifu Mimi Chan. We are currently trying to figure out all of the best avenues for what we can be doing. But even something like this webinar, there has been a lot of different facets of it that we would love help with. So this is just me personally. There are, if you look at the partner page, which is listed on the Facebook event page, as well as here, there's a lot of the partners that do have events happening all the time. And I do believe there's always volunteer opportunities. These organizations have been doing things for a long time and continue to be doing them. So I think the best way is to reach out to one of us, and we are working on it. We're working on finding a way to streamline all of the different organizations. I've been interested in trying to find something similar for Orlando, like the Oakland Cares, the Oakland Compassion, where they escort elders, or if there's somewhere that people can call. So we're just getting going, right? And so the more people that are interested, just keep outreaching and let us know, and hopefully we'll be able to come up with a way to do a comprehensive database. But just following us on social media, being in the know and interacting, that's going to be kind of your best way. All right, back to you, Deputy Vasquez. How quickly should we expect Orange County Sheriff's Office to arrive on the scene?
It's a case-by-case basis. There's no definite answer to that. Of course, if someone's getting attacked, that's going to probably elicit a code 3 response where we come lights and sirens. But if you are calling because your house got burglarized a week ago, it's going to be what is called a code 2 priority. So the next available deputy.
Okay. And the next question would be, what about if you get prank calls or calls left on voicemail that is discriminatory? So if someone calls and says racial things, leaves messages, or even threatening, like, which crime, I guess you call the crime line, or?
It depends what they're saying exactly on the other line, but that may fall under, of course, on a case-by-case scenario. That might fall under some sort of harassment phone calls where you can document it and file a report with the sheriff's office.
Okay. Let's see. Somebody asks, what are some good resources to learn more? So obviously the Orange County Sheriff's Office, there is a slew of information there. Also the services they provide on my side. We've been telling you to please follow all of our partners that are joined into this event so that you can be aware of anything going on with them. I mentioned earlier, there's a few key websites: Stop AAP I Hate, Asian Americans Advancing for Justice. Those are nationwide, that are really doing the heavy lifting, that has actually, I think, propelled things that are happening now with the anti-Asian crime bill that just passed even, right? So they were doing that work before, and now they're getting support, which is absolutely amazing. So just keep watching and listening. Let's see if you have another question. They're like popping up in front of us here. We have like about 5 or so minutes. So if you have questions, please continue to type them in the box and we'll try to get through all of them.
And also, I'll say this: if you are uncomfortable asking a question in front of your peers or whatnot, just email me personally and I'll do my best to answer them.
Thank you. And I think maybe this was answered before during your presentation, or maybe not, but is it also true that there's a crime line and there's even the helpline, and not the helpline, but a crime line, like you can anonymously leave information if you're not comfortable? Maybe people are a little bit afraid.
Of course. Yeah. Crime Line is a third-party organization that works directly with law enforcement. Actually, I have their information I'll give out here in a second or two. But if you contact Crime Line or give them, email them, you could call them, you can give them anonymous information regarding a crime. Say, for example, a common one we get is this person is selling illegal narcotics or in this area. So if you feel uncomfortable calling the sheriff's office, that's non-emergency, just go ahead and give the Crime Line tips a call.
Okay. And then what do you say to a 911 dispatcher to effectively convey that you need immediate help?
Well, it's going to be, like I said, a case-by-case basis. Of course, if it's a violent or the potential for violence or loss of life, that's going to elicit a quicker response in us than, hey, someone's running away, I thought they did something. It's going to be on a case-by-case basis. There's no magic word to get us there in jiffy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll just share my experience, if that's okay. And again, this is just my personal experience. We've had situations at the Wallam Temple where, people have just kind of wandered onto our property, and, we mentioned that, and that really didn't get them there quickly. But when I was in my house, I said, there is an intruder in my home. I'm fearing for my life because I don't know how many people are in here. And so you need to get here right away. I was sleeping and someone broke in and they're in my house. I just chased them. They were here pretty quick. I got the helicopters, I got the dogs, everybody was here. So if that's the situation, you need to be as clear and concise and explain what's happening. Obviously, don't lie and say that there's someone there if there's not. Like, be very honest. But I think if you are conveying as clearly and practicing the good witness and practicing the descriptors, that's going to be very helpful. So that was very helpful for me anyway. Okay. So let's see.
If you believe the person you're dealing with is going to be violent or is about to get physical, please say that. And if you can, give us a reason why, like they're about to get in a boxing stance or charging at me, something along that nature. So. Okay.
And just final couple questions here I'll throw at you. It's this, they're really don't want you to be, they're really interested in their martial art weapon rules here. So those who practice the art form, it seems discriminatory not to be able to open carry when other potentially much more harmful tools can be carried.
I think that's more of a question for the legislator.
Legislative law.
more of that specific officer like myself. So.
You don't make the rules, right?
Of course, I don't make the rules, unfortunately.
Okay. And I think last question for you from our Facebook from Dusk. What plans does the sheriff office have in order to facilitate a community trust that makes them feel comfortable enough to call the police, especially in the light of recent events?
I think Sheriff Mina explained it perfectly. We have a community engagement team. We want you guys. We do these webinars. We go out here and talk to people on a daily basis. We want you guys to know that we are human beings just like you. We feel the same emotions that you. So please just don't see us as some authoritative, hostile figure. That's completely not true. Okay. So please get in contact with us if you have a question or you need help or you simply just want to talk to us. We do get a lot of calls for service for people who just, they just want to talk to a police officer, believe it or not. Okay. They want to open up this dialogue, which is what we're trying to do. So please, if our community engagement team just wants to get in contact with you guys or have you guys get in contact with us, we are more than approachable. We want to hear from you guys. So please either contact me by email or if you see me on the street, pull me to the side, ask me how my day is going. I'll ask you how your day is going and we'll get started there. So community trust is one of the backbones of the sheriff's office, I believe. So
thank you. Okay. And there's a couple of final questions here, I guess, for me and you. And I think I answered already in terms of resources and websites. So I'm going to kind of close out now. I'm going to just ask my moderators to submit any last things here in my chat just to make sure I haven't missed anything. In the meantime, please remember to stay up to date. So go to the Orange County Sheriff's Office website. There is a slew of information. And like he said, you can even figure out what crime is going on in your area. There's a lot of resources of what they can offer you in your business. We've been fortunate that there's been a very open dialogue and communication. They're very responsive. I get emails back almost immediately. Deputy Vasquez especially has been absolutely amazing in terms of, getting back to me, even though he has many jobs. He's got several departments. He doesn't just sit on the phone waiting for my call. And so they really have been there for this community. And I hope that continues. And I hope that this dialogue continues. Also follow me on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan. Follow all of our partners. That way you can stay informed on anything going on. And I'm going to, read those names again for you and also post them on my social media so that you can follow and find out, what's been happening in in the different areas, and that way you're aware of all the different upcoming events because they're posted on social media and their websites. And that's the Asian American Journalists Association. Asia Trend has a lot of information all the time on upcoming events, especially for the Asian community. Orange County Asian Committee, the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, GoABA, and NAAAP. So please check those out. Again, I will keep posting all of that so you guys can follow and learn and stay up to date on all the resources. This recording will also be on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/WaldemFilms so that you can rewatch it. We are hoping that all of our community leaders will also get some level of translation so that this can be perpetuated and so that this information can be shared with as many people as possible. So please give us a couple days to get that posted and edited, but that is going to be out there. So I will just check on my chat here for any last final call for questions. We're awesome on time. Rock stars, everybody. Oh, we're all professionals here. So, okay, I think that's all for questions. Thank you all so much for attending. For those of you who took time out of your evening to be here with us, I know that there is so many things happening. And so for you to be here is very, very meaningful. We appreciate it. Again, Deputy Vasquez, thank you so much for your time, for your preparedness and putting together this presentation specifically tailored for the AAPI community. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.